Okay, so here we have a right angle triangle. We are given only one side length and we're given one angle and we need to find the missing side length. So we're going to use the primary ratios, the trig ratios, SOH CAH TOA, to solve this. So first things first, always start with labeling the sides of your triangle. You need to know which side's opposite, which one's hypotenuse, and which one's adjacent. Now you're given this angle, so in relation to the angle that's 35 degrees, which one's opposite, which one's hypotenuse, which one's the adjacent side? Good. We know the hypotenuse is 18 meters.
X is opposite.
X is opposite. Good.
The one that doesn't have anything is adjacent.
Adjacent. Good. Okay, so in this question, we are working with two side lengths. Which are the two side lengths we're dealing with? Good. Hypotenuse, so because we're given this side length and we need to find the opposite. We don't care about the adjacent side right now. They're not asking us to solve the adjacent side. Okay, we need to find the opposite. So look here. I want you to look here for a sec. We're dealing with a ratio that uses the opposite and the hypotenuse. Does the sine, cosine, or tan ratio use O, opposite, and H? Which one uses opposite sine? So we know that we have to use the sine ratio to solve this because the sine ratio is opposite over hypotenuse, right? I can't use cosine because I don't have the adjacent side. So sine 35 degrees, right? We always follow that by the angle measure, is equal to, what is the sine ratio? What's the order that we write it in? What's first? Opposite. So let me just write this. Opposite over hypotenuse, right? That's the ratio. So fill it in now. Sine 35 degrees is equal to, no. Opposite is X and hypotenuse is what? 18. Okay, so sine 35 degrees, because this is the angle, is equal to X over 18. Does that make sense? Opposite over hypotenuse. Can I do this? Can I divide anything by 1 and it doesn't change? Anything divided by 1, the answer remains the same, right? Now you have a proportion. What did you learn? How do you solve a proportion? Cross multiply. What's 1 times X? 1x or just x. And then we're going to multiply sine 35 times 18. So this is where you're going to punch it in your calculator. So you punch in sine 35 times 18. Okay, so you got
10.324.
Approximately 32. But look here for a sec, this is also important. The question gave me measurements to the nearest meter. So when I solve this, I'm going to answer it to the nearest meter, which would be approximately 10 meters. So side length X is approximately 10 meters. It's always easiest to start with labeling the sides of the triangle. Okay, this is across from the right angle, so we know that's going to be the side that's the hypotenuse. If this is my angle given, this side length is opposite or adjacent? Adjacent. How do you know? It's touching it. Okay, we don't care about the other side length right now because all they want us to do here is solve for X. So let's write SOH CAH TOA.
It's 10.
And you tell me, are we going to use the sine ratio, the cosine ratio, or the tan ratio? Okay, the cosine ratio is the only ratio that uses adjacent and hypotenuse, and that's what we're working with here. Adjacent and hypotenuse, right? So let's solve this. Good. Cos 15 degrees is equal to what? 55 over X. Why is it not X over 55? Because it's adjacent first, then hypotenuse. Adjacent over hypotenuse. Can I write this over 1?
Yep, yes you can.
Cross multiply. This one's a little different. So it's cos 15 times X. How do I write cos 15 times X? Cos 15 X, right, okay, equals, what's 1 times 55? To isolate X, what do I need to divide by? Cos 15, yes. So what do I need to do to the right side? Divide by cos 15. So what happens here? This cancels out. I'm left with x is equal to, this is what you have to do on your calculator, 55 divided by cos 15. Okay, so it's around 56.9. So we'll round it to the nearest millimeter. X is approximately 57 millimeters.